Did you warn the secretary that children were at risk?
Senator, I'm in regular contact with the secretary. And
Did you warn him that children were at risk?
Safety and well-being of children is our top priority.
Did you warn him that children were at risk?
I'm not going to get into the conversations I've had.
You're here and you're under oath, and this is an oversight hearing, and we need to know what you're doing because you're manifestly not doing your job. Did you warn him that children were at risk? Do you believe that children are at risk? Let's start with that.
Yes.
Okay. Did you warn the secretary?
Senator, I'm not going to get into the specifics of my conversation, but I would like the opportunity
Why
to
wouldn't
talk
you
about,
warn the secretary that children were at risk?
Senator Josh Hawley confronts Biden administration official over 85,000 missing migrant children allegedly released to labor traffickers. In this explosive Senate hearing, the director of the Office of Refugee Resettlement faces devastating questions about children working illegally, inadequate vetting procedures, and a system compared to an assembly line by the HHS secretary himself. This confrontation reveals how unaccompanied migrant children are allegedly being exploited on a scale not seen in a century, working overnight shifts, operating heavy machinery, and scrubbing dishes, all while the government agency responsible for their safety has lost contact with them. Watch as Senator Hawley systematically dismantles the officials' deflections and exposes what he calls the largest child trafficking ring in American history, allegedly facilitated by government incompetence and bureaucratic indifference. Let's dive into the main video.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Marcos, can I just start with you? You testified a moment ago to Senator Butler that every child gets a Know Your Rights presentation. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Is that before or after you release them to labor traffickers?
Senator, every child that comes into our care gets a Know Your Rights presentation as well as...
Have you read these New York Times reports? These stories, the series of stories the New York Times has done on the children who are in your care? Have you read them?
Yes, I have.
Have you read that children are scrubbing dishes, they are operating heavy machinery, they are delivering meals, they are harvesting coffee, they are working construction, they are working as housekeepers, they are working overnight shifts at plants where they are not paid, they are not going to school, they are not cared for, they are not giving meals, almost all of it illegally. Are you aware of that? That's a yes or no.
Yes.
Do the Know Your Rights presentation help them in those situations?
Senator, ORR...
That's a yes or no, I think. Do you really think that you're helping these children by releasing them to labor traffickers and, yes, sex traffickers? 85,000 children whom you have no contact with, and your answer is we gave them a presentation before we turned them over to these people who are exploiting them on a scale not seen in this country for 100 years, a century. A century. It's a disgrace in the United States of America. Let me ask you this. You did an audit, I noticed, where you gave yourself a clean bill of health. So just tell me this. Do you require sponsors to document their relationship with the child?
Senator, we have a thorough vetting process.
Do you require sponsors to document their relationship with the child?
Yes, we go through
No, you do not. You do not. Have you read the Senate's Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations reports on your office? There was one in 2016. There was one in 2018. There was one in 2020. There was one in 2022. Spanning administrations, what they found is you do not require sponsors to document their relationship with the child. You release them anyway. What about background checks? Do you require background checks on all adults in the household?
In cases where the child is being released to their parents, we do not require background checks. But Senator, I would
Do you
really
require
like
background checks on all adults in the household in any case?
Yes, in some cases we do.
What percentage of cases do you do background checks on the adults in the household?
I don't have that number in front of me.
Do you do home visits in all cases? You can actually see where these children are being released, whose care you're putting them in?
We do not do home visits in all cases. Senator, I'd really like the opportunity to talk about what we are doing.
I know what you're doing, and it's incredibly and totally inadequate. And we can read about it in the New York Times. Since you say you've read it, let's talk a little bit about that New York Times report if we could. Here's a quote from the April 17th installment. Again and again, veteran government staffers and outside contractors told HHS, including reports that reached the secretary, that children appeared to be at risk. Did you warn the secretary that children were at risk?
Senator, I'm in regular contact with the secretary. And
Did you warn him that children were at risk?
Safety and well-being of children is our top priority.
Did you warn him that children were at risk?
I'm not going to get into the conversations I've had.
You're here and you're under oath, and this is an oversight hearing, and we need to know what you're doing because you're manifestly not doing your job. Did you warn him that children were at risk? Do you believe that children are at risk? Let's start with that.
Yes.
Okay. Did you warn the secretary?
Senator, I'm not going to get into the specifics of my conversation, but I would like the opportunity
Why
to
wouldn't
talk
you
about,
warn the secretary that children were at
I
risk?
would like the opportunity to talk about what we
Let's
are
look at what the
doing.
secretary said to you. The other one, James. Yeah, that one. At least 5 HHS staff members said they were pushed out after raising concerns about child safety. Mr. Becerra, that's the secretary, told the ORR director, that's you, right, that if she could not increase the number of discharges, he would find someone who could. And then he went on to say that if Henry Ford had run his plants like this, he would never have become famous and rich. This is not the way you do an assembly line. Get the kids out, run them through, get them out to those sponsors, those traffickers. Why didn't you resign when he said this? Do you think that this is morally acceptable?
Senator, I joined ORR in September of 2022. I believe that was reported prior to my arrival, but I cannot speak
This is from an article this year.
I can't speak to what the secretary.
Do you think that this is acceptable to run ORR like an assembly line and to release these children to traffickers?
I can assure you we do not run ORR like an assembly line. The safety and well-being of children is our top concern, and by
Plainly
statute,
not. Plainly, it is not your top concern because you have managed to lose 85,000 of them. And the Times knows where they are, or 2/3 of them, and they're with labor traffickers. It's unbelievable. Let me just ask you this. How many kids right now, of the 430,000 approximately, unaccompanied children have crossed the border under this administration? It's an astounding number. How many are you in regular contact with right now?
Senator, we have a number of different providers across the country who
But what's the
provide
number? What's the number? How many of you are you in? You said child welfare is your top concern. What's the number?
I don't have the specific numbers.
How can you not know? Why would you come to this hearing and not know?
Respectfully, if you would like us to provide comprehensive case management to children after they're released from our care, so we can report.
Respectfully, I would like you to do your job and not release children to human traffickers. Respectfully, that's what I would like. I'd like you not facilitate the largest child trafficking ring in American history. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
As Senator Hawley concluded his questioning with a curt, "Thank you, Mr. Chairman," he had accomplished what every elected official should aspire to do: hold government accountable on behalf of the most vulnerable. His relentless interrogation exposed not just bureaucratic failure, but moral bankruptcy at the highest levels of the administration. Hawley came prepared with facts, armed with Senate reports spanning multiple years, and fortified by extensive New York Times investigative journalism that the agency couldn't dismiss or ignore. What made Hawley's confrontation so effective was his refusal to accept bureaucratic doublespeak. When Ms. Marcos attempted to deflect with vague assurances about thorough vetting processes and top priorities, Hawley cut through the rhetoric with devastating precision. He demanded numbers, specifics, accountability, the basic elements any competent agency should have readily available. The fact that she couldn't provide them spoke volumes about the administration's actual priorities. Hawley's most powerful moment came when he forced Ms. Marcos to confront the human cost of her agency's failures. These aren't just statistics or case files, they're children subjected to exploitation that would have been recognizable to reformers from the Industrial Revolution. His invocation of the 100-year comparison wasn't hyperbole, it was historical accuracy. America fought to end child labor a century ago, yet here it is again, facilitated by the very government meant to prevent it. The senator's moral clarity stood in stark contrast to the official's evasiveness. While she hid behind procedural language and refused to discuss conversations with her superior, Hawley gave voice to the 85,000 children who have none. His accusation that the government facilitated the largest child trafficking ring in American history may sound inflammatory, but the evidence he presented supported exactly that conclusion. When a government agency releases children to unvetted sponsors, doesn't conduct universal background checks, skips home visits, and then loses all contact with tens of thousands of them, what else would you call it? Hawley also exposed the perverse incentives created by leadership obsessed with discharge numbers rather than child safety. The assembly line mentality he revealed shows an administration more concerned with processing immigration statistics than protecting human lives. That staff members who raised safety concerns were allegedly pushed out demonstrates a culture of willful blindness. This hearing represents Josh Hawley at his best, prepared, principled, and unafraid to ask the uncomfortable questions that desperately need answers. While others might have accepted Ms. Marcos's deflections and moved on, Hawley persisted, creating a public record that the administration cannot escape.